Good. That is wonderful. That's the little stuff that people, makes huge difference. It makes somebody's day, and sometimes we don't realize it. We think we got to do something huge, and sometimes just a little thing that can change a life. So we're talking about a new spiritually, taking it to the next level, and we're going to do that today. But before we do, I got a few questions I'd just like to discuss and see where you are at. And the first question is, how would you define spiritual maturity? If somebody asks you, are you a mature Christian, or do you have spiritual maturity? How would you answer that? Bob Poole. There you go. Bob Poole. Go talk to Bob. Just stand by him, and you'll figure it out. Good example. Anybody else just have it can be a one word, or it could be 100 words. Your diet grows. So spiritual maturity is a Christian that's having steak. You've worked your way up from formula, and now you're, okay, I like that. That's pretty good. Any other definitions of spiritual? Way to go, Joe May. Out of nowhere, Yes. You keep realize spiritual maturity is that it's not all about me. It's not about me. Good. Next question. As you look back on your life, has it been more of a journey or a destination? Did it start out as a destination? Can't wait till I'm 13, I'm a teenager. I can't wait till I'm 16, I can drive. Can't wait till I'm 18, so I can vote. I think that's what all you were when you all turned 18. Can't wait till I'm 21. I can't wait for this. I can't wait, can't wait till I graduate high school. Can't wait till I graduate college, and sometimes we miss this, but I think as you get older, you look back, and we have to. I think that's part of spiritual maturity, is that we're on a journey, not just from A to B. When was the hardest part of your life? Think about that one for a minute. Brenda? Don't answer. You don't answer this question. What's that? Raising two babies by yourself. Who said right now? Yeah. Feel like the hardest right now? Oh, Dawn. Right this moment? When was it the simplest? Yeah. Yeah. Elementary was like, we did some work, I think, but it was like, you played. Yeah, what did you worry about? What you didn't have to. I don't remember worrying about anything. It wasn't like I wondered what we're going to eat. I didn't care what we ate, as long whatever Mom made, we ate. Never, And she didn't make like 14 different things because I didn't. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and you never thought about it. I never, we were always fortunate. We went to Florida for Christmas, but that was because we stayed with Lark there, my grandpa. And then when my other grandpa and grandma died, and I was 67, we always had a house we went to, and I look back at that in elementary, we'd be gone for 4 weeks to go to Florida during winter. We get to 2 weeks off for Christmas, and George said, we're taking more than that. And so, but it was just fun life. Out there watching Carol break her toe playing kick the can. It was just fun times. It was, and then all of a sudden life does get a little difficult. We can think about it, some real difficult times. Yeah. and my brother and I know probably for you, you're, two brothers in a blink of an eye. It's those are hard times. Yeah. So. What words of advice would you give a young couple on the key of having a successful marriage? Don't watch Hallmark. Don't. I'll give you one. Don't. Are you thinking about it? Compromise. There's 99, I get that one every now and then. And the other, because I like I said, I'm starting to marry more people now that COVID's over, and I love doing that. I do weddings all day. Forgive. I like that. We have honesty. Listen. She says that to me all the time. Listen. You're not listening. Then all I hear is like the teacher from Charlie Brown, womp, 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 womp. Ian, what would you say? Forget. Yes. Not forget. Yeah, forgiveness, but also forget. Yeah. Don't hold a grudge. Let it go. I got the Horfackers here. What's the key to your marriage? Yes, that was real quick. Did you hear that, Bill? I asked what was the key to their marriage, and he said it's cheaper to keep her. I'm moving on that one. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. He's not getting on the ferry. Yeah. What clutters up your life the most right now? Is there anything that just, what clutters it up? Worry. Busyness. We talk about that all the time. It's just like, is it? What else sometimes just clutters? This is cluttering my day up. Now you're jumping ahead, sister. Don't be taking my lesson away from me today. You're really cluttering up this right now. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about today as we get taking that next step forward of how do we declutter our lives. And so the condition that permits intimacy to take place is simplicity. And so we're going to talk about that. It's going to be one of the keys we're going to talk about today is how do we keep it simple? I would always say that in school and a lot of things, KISS. Remember KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And too many times we want to complicate things. So many times it gets in the way of what God is asking us to be intimate with Him. And so we're going to talk about that today. So 2 Corinthians 3:16 says, but whenever a person turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, and are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as from the Lord the Spirit. So note in this passage, Paul says that the Christian experience is one of transformation and ongoing change. We talk about that all the time, and you've heard me say, when we hand out the certificate, when somebody gets baptized, this is not the golden ticket. This is the beginning. You get baptized for the transformation, not just to get wet. And so, and then it's like, hey, now it's that, like you brought up, Hannah brought up, you start on milk, but it's that ongoing change. How are we getting closer? We don't stop. And this is why this is so important, and a lot of people don't understand. All right, I go to church, or I believe I got baptized, but I can sit in my living room and watch the service, but are you growing as a family together? Are you doing those things? And this is why this is so important. Spiritual maturity is a journey. Like we said, it is simply not just a destination. Okay, I got baptized, I can't wait till I go to heaven. As Paul said, okay, if that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. But if I'm released from prison, I'm going to continue this journey of spreading God's word wherever I can. That's the journey. And that's why, Jesus tried to block out the whole idea of, why are you so worried? Here it is. We had talked about in this sermon about the foolish, farmer there. Man, I got a bumper crop. I'd never had this way. I'm going to retire. It's all about me now. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm going to build these barns. I'm going to do all these things. I don't care about anybody else. I'm set for life. He said, well, your life is going to be taken from you tonight. Who's going to get all this? All of a sudden, does it really matter anymore? And so we got to look at each day. Because it is so, the process is often difficult, uncomfortable, and quite challenging at times. However, the satisfaction and peace obtained by the experience far outweighs the inconveniences. As we take that journey, sometimes it's difficult, but if our focus is where it's supposed to be, then you're going to see the experience of life. Just like you mentioned, that little bit of walking with Paul this morning, that's the journey. Too many people could have got caught up in a destiny. That was, hey, I can do this. And that's what we have to look at. In our last session, I said the intimacy with God helped us become more like God or godly. The idea was that the closer we draw to God, the more he would mold us into his image and the likeness. And so that's where the intimacy comes in, because we want to get closer. That's, in any kind of a relationship, that you draw closer to the person that you're married to. You draw closer, and as you do, you see that the relationship is more fuller. And this is what he's saying. The more we draw closer to God, the more this relationship is going to blossom, the more it's going to make sense, because now we'll see things differently. It is a simple idea that we tend to copy and repeat the character and behavior of those we closely associate with, good or bad. Sometimes we like to copy people. And it's, what I read that story about this guy, Jim, there was a kid older than him that named Bob, and he said, man, I want to be Bob. So I learned to walk like Bob, talk like Bob, and I was just like Bob. And Bob liked somebody named Jerry, and Bob tried to be just like Jerry, want to walk and talk like Jerry. Jerry wanted to be just like Larry and did all these things. And Larry wanted to be like Jim, who was like, so it's like everybody, we got to be careful who we idolize. We got to be careful. But that's why Jesus said, here I am. My attitude, as Paul wrote, have the attitude of Jesus Christ. So an intimate relationship with God yields a greater imprint of his character on us. I also said that for intimacy with God to develop, we must conform to his will. It's not about us. This is where the first step of maturity happens, personal discipline. It's not about me. It's about being Christ-like. Let him deal with us on his terms, in his timetable. And that's a hard one, because we want him to deal with us on how I want him to deal with me. I want things done right now. God, take your time, but please hurry up. And we just got to let him be God. Be still and let him be God. In this session, we'll talk about the third step to spiritual maturity, the condition that permits intimacy to take place, and that is simplicity. When I say the word simplicity, what do you think? Besides simple. Easy. Easy. Is there anything out there easy? Shelby, is there anything out there easy? Yes, there is. Loving me is easy. Yes, Brenda. A simple life promotes intimacy with God in the book. So you want to be like Christ, do you? Chuck Swindoll lists 5 sources of kind of this mind life clutter that's common in our lifestyle today. And so one of the first things he says is we say yes to too many things. Do we have a lot of people that says yes to too many things? I mean, yeah, I do. I got it. I'll do it. You know, Karen, I got it. I'll do it. What do you need? Yeah, okay, I can get that done. Now, if only God gives me 27 hours in this next day, I'll have her all done. We do not plan for regular leisure and rest. We rarely take the time to savor and enjoy the pleasure of accomplishments. We're going to be talking about these later. We owe more than we can repay comfortably. We think technology is actually simplifying and improving our lives. We're going to talk about this when we get to the end, so start thinking about that. For now, let's read 2 Corinthians, and it says, "For I'm jealous for you with the godly jealousy, for I betrothed you to one husband, to present you as a pure virgin to Christ. But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve by his trickery, your minds will be led astray from sincere and pure devotion to Christ." Note that Paul says that whatever physical goals we may have been, I got to finish college, I'm trying to save for retirement, I got to lose 10 pounds, whatever it is, our spiritual and thus primary goal is simple faith devoted to Christ. Simple faith devoted to Christ. The Greek word for simple, haplates, is a word referring to a piece of cloth without a crease in it. I want you to think about that for a minute. The Greeks used the word simple, but actually the word actually means a piece of cloth without a crease in it. And we'll come back to that. Too much clutter in your mind and life leaves too little room for simple devotion to God and Christ. How many find that to be true sometimes? Where it's, even when you go to bed at night sometimes, you just stare away, oh man, I got this, I got to do this, I got to get this done, I didn't get that done. Okay, tomorrow, oh man, how am I going to get that? Oh, you know. How many people have to make lists? Got to get this, and then do your little checkup. Got that done, got that done, got that done. How many people just play it by the seat of their pants? Oh, well, I got that. And weren't you supposed to do that? Oh, yeah, I forgot. I've never said that to you. Oh, yeah, I forgot. yeah. I told you that when my mom would get mad at me because I'd be working late, you know. You had that assignment, they gave you a week to work on this. Why are you waiting till the last moment? I go, what happens if the teacher dies or something happens and I did all this work for what? You know, the odds now are, man, she's going to be there tomorrow. And so, you know, sometimes we push that. For intimacy to grow, we need to simplify. We need to weed out the garden sometimes. Because sometimes our mind gets like a weed-filled garden. And it gets jammed in everyday life. You know, like, remember, sometimes it's like, whoa, you know, where did this week go? Or, you know, sometimes my big thing with her sometimes is she'll go, I have so much to do. They got to work at school, got to work at the restaurant. And we'll be in the morning. She says, I can't wait till I get back in here tonight. And I always go, don't wish your life away. You never know what's going to happen. But it just, we get caught up in so much stuff. You know, I know Jennifer teaching sometimes. It's like, how am I going to get through this day? Or, you know, I got a lot to do. I remember even, and I'm glad. Yeah, so focus. It's not going to go away. It's going to be waiting for you. But even in college, I remember, how am I going to get this done? I got this paper to do. I got to do this. How you get it done? So simplifying my life, your life, our lives. How can we do that? Here are a few strategies you can use in order to simplify your life. Strategies that I've read about. We'll talk about them if you agree or not. Are you ready for the first one? Learn to say no. You want to keep things the same. Like I said, I sometimes have a hard time with that. Somebody needs it, all right, I'll figure it out. I'm going to find a way, somehow, some way. Not every opportunity or need is a calling from God. There will always be more to do, more needs to care for than there is time or strength. Always. Yes? And you think of Mary and Martha as, here's Jesus talking and teaching, and one's just busting her hind end, trying to get everything ready in the kitchen, cooking. God, so much, will you please tell her I see it? Will you tell her to come and help me? Go, why? Why? She's doing what she's supposed to be doing. Choose carefully what you can do well, and trust that God can raise others to do the rest. There's certain things that you can do well. There's some things that I can't. That's part of leadership, which I think that Sunday's sermon is the next in line of gifts, is leadership. For example, and I love this example, as we look at Jesus' life, how simple, I always feel that. He had such a mission that he was going to accomplish, but in that meantime, I can see why his apostles were just blown away when he said, hey, going to Jerusalem, I'm going to get crucified. Don't worry about it. I'm going to come back in 3 days. But it's like, what? You who just takes his time to go anywhere? You who, there's no calendar, watch, no nothing. We just follow you around sometimes. And, but it always seems that we hit the right place at the right time. But, he didn't make a huge group training. He had 12. He stayed in a very small region where he did everything. And he really preached primarily to the Jews. He didn't worry about it. He knew what was going to happen. That's what he was preparing these boys to do. All that. But in that time, I always felt how cool it would have been just to hang out with Jesus. Where no worries. And it would be, sometimes you could see, where he would be exhausted. It'd be the healing the people on him. But I never seen a change in the attitude. Just, that's a good day. Hey, what are we going to do tomorrow, Jesus? Well, we'll see. Let's get some rest. We'll get up and, and we'll make our way. And just stopping and pointing to things and, hey, let's go this way. We're going to do this. The restricted nature of his ministry and simplicity of his life should serve as an example for us to not be overcomplicated our lives. And the best way to do this is by learning to say no to requests for more of your time and energy. We have to be careful. We have to be careful. Because sometimes we have gifts. And if we try to do all, sometimes it could take away from really what your great gift is. And then, like you said, it's not a bad thing to delegate. If it's truly God who's calling you, he will find a way to reach out and convince you to invest your life into a particular service or call you. You'll know. See, I had to get the rotary dial phone on that one. It took me a while to find a picture. But you'll know. You can try to dodge sometimes. Oh, no, but you'll know. You'll know. 2, make time for rest without guilt. Anybody have guilt when I'm taking a nap today? Now, maybe as you get older, you're not as guilty as it was back in the day. Anybody guilty or how many people, man, I'm taking a nap and it's going to feel good. Or maybe you don't have time. You look like maybe you might have, Joey, you might have time now. But let's go back 40, 50 years, You got 2 little twins and a little girl. You got Steve, and you're already running and working. And you were working, you were doing things. And it was like, or when you were working, when you had your job, is there ever a time that you just said, I wish I could just stop and take a nap right now. Yeah, yeah. Play for a snow day. And, and and for like you, I mean, do you have like a planned period, or are you? I love that. Friday. I mean, in the high school, there's 6 hours, we taught 5. So we always had. Oh, so like the whole day Friday. Oh, that's pretty cool. But it doesn't happen. Well, and as a planned period, mine was always last period of the day, 6th period. There wasn't a lot of planning going on 6th period. I was tired. It was like, if I could just get 15 minutes, just shut my eyes, and then, because practice is coming or something like that. But God designed us in such a way that we need rest. You ever think about that? If God didn't want us to rest, we wouldn't have to rest. We'd just be on go all the time. And we need a lot of it. Jesus rested, and he encouraged his apostles to rest. It is quite acceptable to do nothing at times, to shut down the machinery of thought, the constant turning of our ambitions, and the ever-growing and demanding to-do list. But you ever think about that? What's that? Oh, yeah. Got to get it. You feel you're getting a little tired? Here you go. Go drink that Coke. Go drink, get a Red Bull and get wings. Do you find, let me ask you this, Ian, working at home, it was a lot easier to go, you know what? I can shut my eyes for 15 minutes if I have to. We're at work. You put toothpicks in your eyes. Wow, he's always got his eyes open. No? Yeah. Do you feel more productive? Yeah. Yeah. There's times here that I just got to shut down for 15 minutes because I'm just trying to get something ready, and nothing's making any sense. And all of a sudden. But God said you need to rest, not 4 hours in a week. How many people need the 8 hours? How many people need less than 8? How many people need 20? I know people will take a nap just so they'll be ready to go to bed. I don't know about here. This is one that was on that list that he gave, was take charge of debt. Get rid of junk and material overload by paying down debt. Instead of staying on the treadmill of materialism by buying more stuff, invest in your peace of mind by lightening the debt load. And that's hard to do. Everybody wants nice things. Of course, the best way to control debt is to prioritize what you're spending. How do we do that? How do I prioritize my spending? Well, here's an example. Always give to God first. That's the sanctified point. I'm going to give to you first. And then Caesar gets his. That you got to pay those taxes. And there's a lot of them out there. And I always go back that we fought a revolutionary war because of a tea tax that was 1 cent on something like 380 gallons of tea. And we went to war over that. What aren't we being taxed on? Yeah. The one thing I would say, like a car, you buy a new car and you pay the tax on it. Then you sell that car and they're paying the tax on it. And then they sell that car and somebody else is paying the tax on it. And all of a sudden, that car made quite a bit of money for the government. And it's not right. It's one and done. Their hands in everything, it just got a note. We redid when did we do these sidewalks? 2 years ago? Just got something, we haven't got the final inspection on it. Yeah. And then what we paid just to get to pull the permit, and then pay to have somebody look at it, and pay to, it's like, It's amazing. Well, like I said, that's one of the things when I taught economics, because I go, okay, let's say you buy a $100,000 house, you get a mortgage for 4%. What do you think you're going to be paying in interest? When I go 4%, oh, that's not bad. I said, well, let me show you how it works, because you're going to pay almost double for your house in 30 years because of that. And so I remember first, like I said, when first I was working in real estate, and somebody said, well, I got 16% interest. Well, wow, man, you're pretty lucky. And, you know, I mean, I can't imagine buying a house right now at 16% interest. How could you do it? You know. So what should we do third? Obligations. There's family needs. There's debt you got to pay. There's a car you got to have. That's the one thing I always yell at students. Hey, you going to go out for sports this year? No, I can't. I got to have a job. What do you need a job for? Because I want a car. What do you need a car for? So I can get to work. I can eliminate that right now. Don't work. You don't need a car. Go play sports. Then yourself. That's your savings, your investments, your education. And then number 5, if there's $1 left, go to the Dairy Queen. I knew that's another mind-boggling thing. You keep, yeah, forgot about that. I remember being so geeked as a kid and going and getting a $1 milkshake, which was like this. I'm going to get a $1 milkshake, you know, because the regular milkshake was 35 cents. But I'm going to get me a $1 milkshake. And it was like, now, is there anything you get out there for $1? Yeah, Dollar Tree. Now they're going to have to put a buck and a quarter tree. By putting God first, you discipline yourself for greater simplicity in your life. Since you are conscious putting God first, new stuff, playthings last. Sometimes people want to do it the opposite way. You see a lot of people get in a lot of trouble when, you know, and that was one of the things I noticed back when I sold real estate with my dad, and then, you know, got out because I was teaching, doing stuff. But you saw the different mindset. You know, I'd sell something to like a newlywed or something. It'd be a very, very small little house, you know, that they could afford, and hopefully that in so much time they can add on to it or fix up and sell it and get something. And then it went from that to, I want now. I want the big house now. I want all this now. You know, let me get this now. I want to be the boss. I can't believe I'm not. I've been working here for 3 weeks. So, different attitude. That financial shift will ultimately make your entire life more about Him and less about stuff, and thus much simpler to manage. Number 4, make time for you and God alone. Do we do that enough? That's making that simplicity of life. And I think this is such a key. Like he says in 1 Peter, therefore humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, so that He may exalt you at the proper time, having cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares about you. Take that time. I'm going to take that time. Find a spot, be it, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Have a prayer room. Have a place that you just, and let God be God. And just throw everything at Him. And then you're just amazing, the feeling of, okay, He's got it, I can go on. I like what J.C. Penney said. If you're too busy to worship God on the Lord's Day, you're just too busy. And this is our society today. And it's hard for some people, because it's like, hey, we need you to come in and say, well, I go to church. Yeah, but we're paying double time. And we're going to pay you more to work on a Sunday. And then it becomes a money thing. And athletically, for all these kids, these travel teams, it's always something on a Sunday. And so we get busy, and he said, well, and you're too busy then. Summary. Simplifying your life will not only give you more time with God, but it will also give you more time. And this is what I think this is what God intended for us. Even go way back before, Adam and Eve, and where they would just walk the garden in the cool of the evening or whatever, just how cool to take that time, to take that walk, to take that breath, to slow down, because, if You all know how fast time goes. And I don't think too many people on their deathbed said, I wish I would have worked a lot more. I could have done a lot. I could have gone on more Saturday, They miss the little things. I wish I would have taken more time off. I wish I enjoyed this, or, those are the things. Let's discuss a few things. First question, describe what your day would be like if you lost your cell phone and your computer broke. Bored. I'd be bored. I got no games to play. How would your life be if you didn't have no cell phone, no computer? Would it be different? Yeah.
I couldn't do most of my work, so I would have lots of time.
Yeah.
Everything's on my computer.
Everything. Yeah.
I need everything's on my computer. No paper, so with that, I have plenty of time.
Well, that was one of the great things when we went on that cruise. Our phones and everything went into the safe. And it came out when it was time to leave. And we'd get up, what are we going to do today? Well, let's go do this. And we just played the day as the day was. Even when we were with Heidi, it's kind of the same, Heidi's good at that. We're going to be going in November, and I'm looking forward to it. Just so beautiful there, and you get up.
I'd be very happy. I just dumped my phone and computer.
Yeah.
I got a land phone now.
See?
I'm back to where I was, where I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, all this other stuff was just making you mad. I don't know. That's me.
There, if they call, I come home and the light's flashing, I see who it was. I don't carry it around, I don't drive with it. It doesn't control me.
No.
And the computer, I don't need it.
I do for what I do, and I'm thankful for it because I remember typing up term papers and stuff when I was in college, and you had that little round thing with the little whisk broom. You tear up paper, and then it would be the white out stuff, and then the keys would it wasn't good. This,
I did need a computer, but I don't.
yeah, but I never, for the longest time, I never had a cell phone until this, when they said I had to. But it was like, you need a cell phone. I do. I always felt, well, they'll get a hold of me somehow. Smoke signal if they have to. But yeah, I think life would be completely different. It'd be like you're talking to people again. Yeah. You're just talking to people. We went back and talked about the whole idea of, I remember being younger, with my dad, and, we'd be traveling. Oh, we got to stop and see so-and-so. You just pull, people, or you talk to your neighbors, or, if you're a kid, you talk to everybody because everybody's outside playing. I mean, how many people, like you said, I want Carol, how many people do we have playing kick the can, at night, or how many, playing in, Joe's yard? We'd have all kinds of, you just did that. Now you don't see that anymore because even kids are, Brenda says, you go to a restaurant, there's a whole family sitting at a table, and they're all on their phones.
Well, I feel that what's raising the kids too.
Yeah.
Parents don't want to be bothered, so they give them electronics. That's what they want. Technology, like overall thinking it is like to separate people, isolate people.
I agree. I remember being mad. My mom would make us come in. Oh, we got this game going. Get in the house. All right. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. So life could be different. We can make it simple. No, it's not bad. In your opinion, which of the 5 sources of clutter mentioned in the lesson that I did most complicates your life? Saying yes to many things, no plan for rest or leisure, don't take time to savor accomplishments, owe more than we can repay, reliance on tech to simplify life. How many look at that and say, I got a couple numbers there? How many say, no, I'm good. I got a couple numbers. I'm a 1. It really does. And as I was doing this, and it was part of what the lesson was, I'm going, I have a lot of people that at one time, like you say, you're working for the schools and you're in the kitchen and you're doing things. Your kids were young and it's like, okay, yep, how am I going to do that? Us, we'd have to have a calendar because, okay, who's got a game here? We got to have so-and-so here for this practice. And, it was try to connect the dots. Yeah. And what was good for us was, because I taught, when I was in Florida, we'd be here for the summer, we'd be at the farm. And everything, for me, everything came to a screeching halt. I'd get up, I'd go play some ball, go bale some hay, go play some more ball, just hang out. The kids were, because, at the farm they didn't have cable TV, so they were outside with all their cousins just running and playing all day. At night, then we'd grab Jacqueline because she'd be the one that would be in the weeds and stuff. We'd pick ticks off her, But as you're right, as you get older, you see what's important and what's not important. You're absolutely correct, and that's a good thing. Describe in your own words. We talked about that, where the Greek word for simplicity, a piece of cloth with no crease, adequately describes simplicity. But as a group, give me an example of what you thought about that. A piece of cloth with no crease and is like simplicity in that.
You know what I thought when that was on there? Way back, way back, when you used to sort of, the patterns were called simplicity. The simplicity for patterns for sewing way back then. And when that's went there, no crease, I thought, oh my goodness.
There you go.
Take that to the Bible.
Yeah, now they have. It used to be simple. What else do you think when you see a piece of cloth with no crease is like simplicity in that? No details. It's just smooth. I like that. No details. Any others? No crease. Sometimes in life we put a lot of creases in our lives. Exactly. Yeah. Good. All right.
I like that, John, and I think when that river is as smooth as it's so calm.
I like that. Not even a ripple. Sometimes that's nice if we can get our life like that. But most of the time it's like you get a south breeze or something against, or whatever, and it's just, Mom would always say, the river's angry today. Number 4, describe the first step you would need to take in order to simplify your life. If your life is already simple, say, I don't got to take no steps. Took me a lot of steps to get there, but I got there. You don't have to say it out loud, but is there something that, if I could eliminate? School. Who came up with this idea? And that's funny you say, I think about that all the time. Okay, I got my bachelor's degree, and I look at how many classes really help me. Yeah. I'm taking classes. I remember I'm going, why am I took one how to run a projector. It was instructional media, how to use a copy machine, how to use a projector. Back then, one of those little film projectors that would beep, beep, beep. I got my master's because I was going to get more money. And the classes I had, out of all those, I think 2 classes I really enjoyed. That was a good professor. One was about education and law. I thought that was pretty cool. But then there was that one that was all day Saturday, and it was for 7 weeks, and it was about back to instructional stuff. How can you make a pamphlet? Can you do a PowerPoint? Can you do? I was like, seriously? Yeah, there you go. I love my PowerPoints. That was the best thing about the computer. As a history teacher, it was like the greatest, because I could pull up actual pictures and show actual things and little clips of what was going on. My mind would just click and stuff, and like I said, my best compliment ever as a teacher is we were talking about something, and so, were you there? I said, what do you mean was I there? Because you talk like you were right there. Well, and here I was. Last question. In your opinion, what do you think would be the greatest benefit for you personally in your life was made more simple? What, if we really simplified your life, what would be the best benefit? What would be the best benefit if you could just, what would be one thing you go, man, if I could do this, this would really make my life simple? You don't have to answer. The question, what's holding you back from it now anyways? But, like Judy said, for a lot, you've gone through, you've seen it. And that's the neatness of having a group that is older. And I always say that, man, we got to get some of these young kids in, or some, just because the wealth of knowledge that's here. Not just because, hey, Joy's got a, she went to college, she's got a PhD in this, Susie went and, we're looking at, look at the degrees we got sitting. No, it's looking at the school of hard knocks is what the battlefield that this group has been through. And sometimes it's just, you see, kid, well, I'm going to, and you get the smile going, yeah, okay, good luck. Tried it, done it, ran my head into the wall. But some people need to. But the expertise here is really getting to talk and understand. And this is where I think it's somehow I just would love to get a younger group just to be with you guys. Just for the fact of you can explain simplicity better than anybody. No. What do they know? That was back in the olden days. You didn't even have cars. All you had to do was like feed your horse and get on it and get to work or whatever. You worked in the fields, but you all worked hard.
I think what is different today is when we think about Grace Street to our whole family, my friends, right on through. Some of these kids don't have that, and my heart hurts for them.
Yeah.
They broken homes and parents who really don't care. And like you said, get on electronic, get out of my way. We played card games. We were out in the backyard, coming in the house so filthy. And I had 4 kids now, still coming in the house filthy.
Yeah.
No, it was crazy, and that's just what you did. But they don't do that anymore.
And you saw good examples.
Yeah. We were fortunate enough to be raised with those kind of people.
Yeah.
I should say. I don't know how to put that, but I had good mom and dad. I only had one sister to fight with. It was
Yeah. Well, I looked at, like Carol, your mom and dad always impressed me. It just, there was a hardworking man there. And down to earth. I still see him playing the spoons and, and different things. We have the party on September or whatever, and I just... There you go. But you look at those kind of things, just always your dad, Jim, what a great guy. Your dad is an exceptional man. He yelled at us all the time and sent us home. But, that was more Steve than any of us, and I had to go if Steve went. You got to go. And, Steve, get out. Take him with you. Okay. But, you just saw, and we were talking about that back in the day. On a Sunday, everything was closed. Whole families were sitting in church. And it's just what it was. It just wasn't what it was. Yeah, on Sunday, that was Brenda's life. Like she said, her mom would just start cooking because who knew it was going to come on a Sunday, and it was okay. And that was, as a kid, that was the greatest because you get to see cousins or whatever, and that was it. And for us, on Sundays, you go to Sunday school, and then you went to church, and then you went home and had something. Then we came back for youth group, and then there was Sunday evening church, and it was Sunday was a whole day of stuff. And
my oldest daughter said once or twice a month on Sunday, the whole family goes together.
yeah, you just don't. And it's amazing when I taught when I ask students, how many have a dinner time that you adhere to and you have to be there? And very few. I go, oh, no, we sit down at, we did. We'd 6 o'clock. What time did you have dinner? 5 o'clock. You know? Anybody else had the time where what was yours? 5 o'clock. 5 hours was 6. I remember if we weren't in the house at the table at 6, we were in trouble. I mean, Steve would get grounded left and right because you could see him running just as hard as he could, you know, and that was just George, you know, and he'd come in and say, oh, I made it, you know. No, you didn't, it's 6:01, you know, that kind of stuff. But we ate, that's what time, you know, and we sat at this little table, a little counter, all of us, you know, it was just what we did, you know, but you don't see that fast food's making big money, you know, honest. So, any questions? And I thank you guys for being here, but I like this one, just how, but even as we get older, we still got to simplify things and take the time. But you got to remember, even God said, hey, you need to rest. You need to recoup. And then put me first and take that time. There's a time to rest, but there's also take a time to meditate. Pray.